Russia's economy is sliding deeper into recession due to Western sanctions and sinking oil prices. The country's GDP shrank 4.6% in the second quarter, while inflation jumped nearly 16% last month. Matthew Chance is following all of this and joins us now from Moscow. Matthew, the economy there is tanking, but it seems the president, Vladimir Putin, remains very popular. Why is that?
Yeah, no, it's a good question, and it's a question that many people have struggled to answer. But you're right, the popularity ratings of Vladimir Putin still in the high 80s in terms of percentage. One opinion poll putting it at 89%, so one of the highest approval ratings the Russian president has ever had. All the more astonishing, of course, because of the economic backdrop, the fact that people are seeing their standards of living deteriorate and their general economy get a lot worse. You mentioned that 4.6% economic decline, GDP decline over the course of the past 12 months, a little bit worse than was expected by market analysts. And so, yes, it's a big question as to why this is the case. Certainly, the only type of dissent that I've seen over the past several months is something that happened just last week, in fact. An online petition was launched against the process of destroying food products that are being seized by the Russian authorities, imported from Western countries, seized on the border illegally, or rather imported illegally and then seized legally by Western authorities and then burned. We saw pictures of pork from Denmark being burned, European cheeses being burned. That seems to have sparked something of an outrage, this online petition calling for that process to stop, being signed by at least 250,000 people in the first few days. And so, again, you know, generally the popularity is very high. Some of the policies are showing signs of wearing pretty thin, though, on the Russian population.
And Matthew, looking at Ukraine, we know that they are in these make-or-break negotiations with creditors. Give us a sense of the state of the economy there.
Well, we talk a lot about the Russian economy and how much that suffered as a result of the crisis in Ukraine and the general economic malaise in the world. But you can't really compare it with the extent to which Ukraine's economy has suffered. I mean, GDP there, it's down 4.6% in Russia. Over the past 2 years in Ukraine, it's down something in the region of 23%. They've lost whole swathes of their country. Crimea has been annexed, of course, by Russia. Much of eastern Ukraine is at war and is no longer under the control of the government in Kiev. So they've lost all that industrial output and all that taxation. Inflation in Ukraine is running at somewhere in the region of 50% a year. And so it's an enormously difficult economic crisis. It's got $19 billion of debt that it has to repay shortly. It's in these important negotiations in the United States right now to try and get that debt restructured. It's looking for a 40% cut, a sort of haircut in the amount of money it has to pay back. That's not been forthcoming at the moment. It's looking very unlikely. If they don't get what they want, though, the Ukrainian government is warning that it may have to default on its debt payments, which would obviously result in an even bigger economic problem for the country.
Some huge economic problems in that region. Matthew Chance in Moscow, thank you very much.